So people on the right find me gross.
You are correct, sir. Yes!
They find trans people gross. Icky. And not for, well, men on the right wing find us gross. And not for nothing, they also kind of find women gross too. I mean, like period jokes and misogynist jokes and stuff. And it all sort of is like a jumble. But in addition to that, they've been programmed their entire life to do everything they can to not seem feminine. Feminine is the worst thing you could be, right? Speaking of misogyny. So I am both gross, but also triggering. And as somebody who walks the earth as gross and triggering, I will tell you, none of that is my responsibility. Not anymore, anyway.
Man, you are one twisted fuck.
Notice the amount of gaslighting and mind f***ing and just plain lying that our old pal Jeffrey has to do to be portrayed as a victim of the hateful bigots on the right. It's nonsense. The reason people don't like Jeffrey is because he starts most of his TikToks out with, "Hey kids," then he tells said kids to go join his Patreon so they can have secret conversations that their parents don't know about. Anyone that engages in that kind of behavior, I find gross and disgusting. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I have a fairly quick and slightly crazy clown world update for you guys today, and as usual, we have very little time to waste. So let's get into it. Now, if you place your attention on the screen for a moment. So this is Jackie. Now, Jackie is a biological man who identifies as a trans woman, calls himself a lesbian, looks for dates on lesbian dating apps, and, you guessed it, frequents the ladies' restroom. What?
We let this stuff go too far, pretty soon we'll be f***ing dogs.
All right, let's keep this party rolling with this ad for homeschooling. Excuse me, with this teacher who says she takes all of her students at face value. So whatever their pronouns are or whatever they identify as, that's what she's going to call them. Now this, folks, is how we ended up with kitty litter boxes in certain classrooms. Roll it.
One of my favorite teachable moments I've had as an educator came from students disrespecting pronouns. Now let me explain. Pronouns are a delicate art, especially in public school systems. So what I've always done in school and at after-school programs is during introductions, I always give mine. And in my little list of things I want to know, I say, you may specify your pronouns. You can also find me after. Just so no one is forced and no one makes a big deal out of it. It's really more for parents than students. And it's always a mixed bag. Generally speaking, people just say them or don't say them and don't make a production. But, you know, once a group, you'll get somebody making some kind of joke. And this is where it gets teachable. One, I have a good sense of who's joking, but I don't know for sure. So what am I going to do? Say to a class of kids, okay, good one, about a kid's actual name and pronouns? No. I take every single student at face value, and I just immediately respect whatever they say. And I will call them that name and pronouns as long as they let me. So the kid who's chuckling and going, he, him, and I want to go by T-Rex. He's T-Rex for the rest of the year.
That is the stupidest thing I ever heard of. Jesus Christ.
So you saw that. You heard that. That teacher literally said that if one of her students identified as a T-Rex, she would call him a T-Rex. That's not helping these kids at all. In fact, kids that go into classrooms with teachers like that, a lot of times come out like this. Roll it.
Wow, you really said that with your full chest, didn't you? I actually didn't mention whiteness in my video, but I'm glad you did because now I get to say what I should have said before. My page is not a safe space for white supremacists. In fact, it's not a kind, polite, or friendly space for anyone who's not willing to acknowledge their white ignorance and the inherent violence that's built into it. Now, before all the men come after me, I am not saying that white men are by nature biologically violent, but I am saying that if you're a white person, especially a white man, you've inherited a legacy of patriarchal violence, and it's your lifelong burden to heal that both internally and within the world around you. Now get the off my page.
What a
All right, next up. So this gentleman has such thin skin that he doesn't want people to say the term grandfathered in anymore in the workplace because he thinks it's racist. Roll it.
This is part one of a series I'm going to call Please Don't Use These Terms in the Workplace because they are racist. So I'm going to start with the term grandfathered in. So the term goes back to post-Civil War era where the racist state governments had a problem. So you have all these freed black slaves now getting the rights of citizenship and you don't want them to vote and vote you out of office. So what do? So you just make it so they can't vote. But how do you do that? So could add measures that newly freed slaves would have problems meeting, like literacy and paying taxes and all these other things, right? So that would exclude poor white people too, because literacy wasn't a thing back then. So, but you can make it so that if your grandfather was eligible to vote or voted, you could vote. And you don't have to meet these restrictions of literacy or taxes. So grandfathered in was literally born out of a means to disenfranchise black people.
And you know what, you act like a little right now.
And that is exactly why many people in these communities will never get ahead. They act like perpetual victims. Every word's racist and there's a white supremacist around every corner and it's bullshit. But they keep getting fed this victim narrative, so they just stand around and complain their whole lives and never get ahead. Anyway, next up, so I'm not sure what's going on with this lady, if she flew over the cuckoo's nest or she's doing a bit here or what, but this is a little strange. Roll it.
Okay, I just picked this up. It's a full bottle of water. And I'm on this quest to dump out any water that gets trapped in the plastic, because once it's trapped in these plastic bottles, we now have lost it basically forever. So it's really important when you see, hi doggo, when you see water that's discarded, to open it up and dump it out. Alternately, to make sure that when you're done with water, and that goes for like, you know, juices or sports drinks or whatever, dump that shit out if you're not going to use it. Because if you don't, it's trapped forever, and we've lost that water to our ecosystem. So, thanks.
Don't you get wacky on me. What the are we talking about here?
You see what I mean? Now, I'm not quite for sure exactly what that lady's doing. Does she think that water is a living, breathing being and that it's imprisoned in these plastic water bottles and needs to be freed? I don't know. Anyway, next up. So here's another kind of strange TikTok trend where these young ladies go on here and talk about not shaving their body hair, which, hey, that's fine. If you're a woman and you don't want to shave your body hair, that's fine. But pretending to lick your hairy armpit, that ain't it. Roll it.
Random fact about me. I haven't shaved my armpits, my blonde armpits, in over a year. My legs? I haven't shaved in like 5 or 6 years. But I think I just love my legs. They're so satisfying. Especially when the blonde hair reflects off the light. I like that.
Meanwhile,
I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
It's just satisfying to me. It all matches. I do not touch my eyebrows because I feel that people will pluck all their eyebrows off, wax them off, and then color or tattoo them in to be full again. But I have naturally full eyebrows, so what's the point? We're not in that 1990s, early 2000s phase with wire thin eyebrows trending, so no. My body hair is a staple of who I am. You know, like 75% of the United States population doesn't shave? 50% are men and 75% are kids? Everyone has body hair. And I accessorize mine. I always will. Yeah. Go vegan. Grow out your vegan armpits.
That's f***ing disgusting. Oh, I'm gonna throw up.
Like I said, ladies, if you don't want to shave your body hair, that's fine. Whatever. But maybe don't make a TikTok about it where you pretend to lick your hairy armpit. Just saying. Anyway, next up. So we've heard quite a few songs here on the channel recently about different things, pronouns and gender and such. And that's great. People are expressing themselves through different artistic ways. That's fantastic. Well, here we have another song. It's a minute and a half long, and I cannot promise we're going to make it the whole minute and a half. The song is called Jesus Was a Drag Queen. Roll it.
Jesus was a drag queen in a long dress, loving all his enemies, making a mess. And if he ever came back in his sandals and curls, they'd arrest him for dressing like a little girl. And Jesus was a trans kid.
Your song? It's awful. I hate it.
I had a funny feeling I wasn't going to be able to make it through the whole minute and 30 seconds of that song. And listen, some of these people we hear singing these songs have decent voices, but the lyrics are so off-putting. Anyway, real quick, before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of today's video. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let this loop on the screen now. Just like yesterday's video, I have absolutely no context for this clip. So once again, use your imagination. Anyway, today's video is being brought to us by our first sponsor, all the way from the Netherlands, is our great friend Eric Bosch. Eric, once again, sir, thank you so much for sponsoring today's video. I really appreciate the continued support. Second sponsor of today's video from Long Beach, California, Kathy B. Kathy, thank you so much for sponsoring today's video. I truly appreciate it. So today's video sponsors are Eric Bosch from the Netherlands and Kathy B. from Long Beach. Now, if you'd like to sponsor the next video and help support the channel, there is a PayPal link in the description box below, and I will say your full name as a sponsor of said video unless stated otherwise by you. All right, I think we've seen enough for whatever this is. Get this off the screen, please. Oof.
What the hell is even that?
All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping it up with this clip from, I believe it's NBC News now, but I don't know. I don't watch the mainstream media news, so I'm not sure who this woman is asking the questions, but they've gathered some Pennsylvania voters to the table to ask them who they will be voting for in the 2024 presidential election. And you got to hear this old-timer's answer. He clearly watches a lot of mainstream media news, and he claims to be a Republican. Anyway, things are clearly getting crazy out there, guys, so please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time. Love you guys. Peace. Roll it.
Is there any chance you would stay at home on Election Day?
No. I love American democracy too much that Biden and Trump, if it's a Biden and Trump race, then I would vote for Biden, even if he was dead.
No chance I'd stay home. I've never.
And I'm a Republican.
Say what?
If it's a Biden and Trump race, then I would vote for Biden, even if he was dead.
Are you f***ing dumb? And you ain't black.